Let's solve examples. Okay, example number 1. Evaluate the limits of tangent theta over sine theta where theta approaches to 0. So, since this is trigonometric functions, kailangan alam ninyo ang identities. Importante yon. So, I'm going to create also a video if I have a given time. Pag may free time ako, gagawa ako ng video then ng review again for your algebra and trigonometry. Kasi importante sa atin yon. Okay? So, dito, if we're going to solve for this problem number 1, so pwede ba natin ulit i-evaluate where theta approaches to 0? Okay, definitely not. Kasi indeterminate form to ulit. Now, pag sinabing indeterminate form, yung sagot ay undefined. So, paano ko nalaman? How should I know na indeterminate yung form? Okay, by looking on the denominator pa lang. Sine 2 theta, if I'm going to replace theta, which is equals to 0, so sine 2 times 0 is still 2 times 0 is 0. So, what is sine of 0 degrees? Sine 0 degrees is 0. So, any number divided by 0 is undefined. So, dito pa lang, alam na natin na indeterminate yung form niya. Hindi natin siya pwedeng masolve ng direct substitution. So, what are we going to do is first to transform this problem to another form. Itong problem na ito, kailangan mabago natin yung itsura. Bago natin i-apply yung limits. So, paano natin babaguhin yung itsura? Again, by applying its identity. Since the problem on this problem, sa problem, yung denominator, kasi yun yung magiging 0 eh. So, focus tayo sa denominator. So, that's the technique. So, if we're going to recall the identities, okay, recall that the sine 2 theta, one of its identity is 2 sine theta cosine theta. Pag sinabing identity, equal lang yung left and right. Kung natatandaan nyo nung high school ninyo, pinagbabalance nyo yan eh. Na dapat si left ay equal kay right. In this case, this is what we call double angle identity. Ito naman, product of two trigonometric function. Kung ano yung magiging theta nito, let's say 30, so 2 times 30 is 60, so sine 60 is the same as 2 sine 30 times cosine 30. So, pag chinek nyo sa calculator yan, equal lang yung dalawa na yan. So, papalitan na natin yung denominator. And at the same time, yung kaninang diniscuss natin, the tangent of theta is equals to its identity of sine theta over cosine theta. So, pwede na natin palitan yung problem. That the limits of tangent theta, tangent is sine theta over cosine theta divided by sine 2 theta is equals to 2 sine theta cosine theta where theta approaches to 0. So, paano natin i-evaluate muna itong part na to? May makakancel tayo dyan. Okay. Kasi by inspection, yung denominator mo, meron pa rin sine 2 theta na hindi pa pwede. Kasi nga, magiging 0 pa rin tong denominator. So, kailangan natin munang i-reformat or palitan ng itsura ng problem. Okay, so paano gagawin natin? Okay, yung sine theta over cosine theta, okay, papalitan natin na or simplify natin yung denominator by this is over 1 actually. I-reciprocate natin. So, this is 1 over 2 sine theta cosine theta. So, makakancel ngayon natin si sine theta. Okay, so this is the same as 1 over, we have 2. Cosine theta times cosine theta is cosine squared theta. So, ito na yung magiging function ngayon natin. So, wala nang sine theta sa denominator. So, hindi na siya magiging 0. So, to check, if theta is equals to 0, what is cosine theta? By the way, itong cosine theta o cosine squared theta, equal din yan kay quantity cosine theta squared. But not, take note of this, equals to cosine theta squared. Pag walang open and close parenthesis at ginawa nyo lang ganyan, ibig sabihin na si theta, yan lang ang naka-squared. Pero pag may parenthesis, ibig sabihin buo kasama si cosine at saka si theta naka-squared. So, it equal tong dalawa na to, pero hindi equal kay cosine theta squared. Take note about it. So, now, if theta is being replaced by 0, so what is the value of cosine 0 degrees? Okay, so tuturo ko rin yan, yung identities niyan, pwedeng mag-upload ako ng video, or pagdating natin sa part ng trigo, babalikan natin. Cosine 0 degrees is equals to 1. Sine 0 degrees is equals to 0. So we can now substitute theta approaches to 0. So we have limits of 1 over 2, where cosine theta is 1 na naka-squared, where theta approaches to 0. So pwede na natin i-apply since these are all constant. So limits of a constant is still constant. So we have 2 times 1 squared is still 2. So the answer is 1/2. Okay? So yan yung pagsagot. So hindi pa natin ina-apply dyan yung special limits. Pinakita ko lang yan kasi pagdating sa limits, both algebraic and trigonometric, kailangan alam ninyo i-solve or memorize ninyo yung mga rules. Okay, proceed naman tayo sa example number 2 after this. Example number 2, evaluate 1 minus cosine x over x squared where x approaches to 0. So, hindi porket x yung nakita ninyo, x na siya, no? It means it can be also x is being used to represent an angle. So, angle pa rin yan kasi may trigonometric value. So, again, by inspection on the problem, if we're going to substitute directly x as 0, ang problema nyo yung denominator. Okay, kasi magiging 0 na naman ang denominator. So, hindi pwede yan. Kasi magiging indeterminate yung form na yan at ang magiging sagot ay undefined. So, kung ang problema ay denominator, kailangan i-reformat ulit natin yan or reform natin yan para mabago yung pinaka-problem ulit. No? Itong pinaka-problem. Kailangan mabago natin yan sa pamamagitan ng pagbabago ng denominator. Now, paano natin i-evaluate yung problem na yan or babaguhin? So, recall ulit tayo. So, papasok ngayon sa recall natin yung pinag-aralan ninyo sa algebra. So, again, like what I said before, ang trigo pwedeng gamitan ng rules ng algebra. But again, case-to-case basis. But ang algebra, hindi nyo pwedeng gamitan ng trigo. Kasi walang kinalaman totally talaga si algebra kay trigo. But trigonometry, okay, may part na pwedeng gamitan ng algebra. Okay, so recall tayo sa factoring, sa algebra. So, recalling factoring. Okay, may tinatawag tayong sum and difference of two binomials or the same binomials. Now, for example, I have A plus B times A minus B is equals to A squared minus B squared. Okay, this is special product na naging factored or ito gagawing factoring or vice versa. Kaya ako tinawag na sum and difference of the same two binomials kasi A and B. So, yun yung i-apply ngayon muna natin sa problem. So, sa problem, if I have 1 minus cosine x, kasi yung denominator na x squared, simplified na yan. Wala na tayong magagawa dyan. But, yung numerator na 1 minus cosine x. Okay, try ngayon nating baguhin. Okay, paano natin babaguhin ngayon? Lagay ko muna yung x squared. If I'm going to apply this factoring method or one of the techniques sa factoring, si 1 minus cosine x, kung i-multiply ko siya ng 1 plus cosine x. Siyempre, kung ano ginawa ko sa numerator, ganun din gagawin ko sa denominator. Para maging equals kay 1. So, walang nabago. This is just equals to 1. Walang nabago doon, ha? Hindi pa pwedeng yung numerator lang yung may 1 plus cosine x, yung denominator, wala kayong gagawin. So, hindi pwede. Sabi sa equation, kung ano gagawin mo sa taas, dapat ganun din gagawin sa baba. Kung ano gagawin sa kaliwa, ganun din gagawin sa kanan. So, if this is the case, this is now equals. Okay, yung denominator, walang problema. You just simply multiply yung x squared by 1 plus cosine x. Pero yung numerator, yan, product rule na yan. So, i-apply natin yung sa product rule. So, si a times a ay a squared. So, it means 1 times 1 ay 1 squared. Okay, positive times negative is negative. So, negative times positive, unlike sign, parang ganun yung idea nun, is negative. B times B is B squared. Cosine x times cosine x is cosine squared x. So, again, pwedeng cosine x tapos naka-open and close parenthesis tapos naka-squared. So, it's up to you. Okay, so if this is now our situation, so papalitan na ngayon natin yung pinaka-problem. Balik tayo sa pinaka-problem. So, sa problem, ang magiging itsura na ngayon, may iba na, no? Limits of, okay, ito na yung pinaka-problem ngayon natin. 1 minus cosine squared x over x squared times 1 plus cosine x. Gagawin ko lang muna ng bracket to. Hindi mo dito. Ayan. Ay. Nangyari. Tuloy. Ayan. Okay, ganun pa rin, sir. Wala naman pong nabago kasi may x pa rin po sa denominator. Mas naging complicated pa rin siya. Kung kanina, simple lang. X squared. Ngayon, may 1 plus cosine x na. So, tama kayo. Hindi pa rin matatanggal si x. Kaya pag ginawa kong x approaches to 0, magiging 0 pa rin tong x squared, magiging 0 pa rin yung buong denominator, at indeterminate pa rin yung form niya. But again, isama na natin sa recall. Including sa recall natin yung identities na. That the identity of 1 minus cosine squared x is equals or the same kay sine squared x. Kaninong identity to? Yan yung Pythagorean identity. O yun yung isa sa Pythagorean theorem identities. So, medyo magulo, no? Lalo na sa mga hindi STEM. Kasi ang dami yung aaralin talaga. So, pag nagkaroon talaga ako ng time, re-reviewin ko ulit kayo. Mag-upload ako ng video para sa factoring at saka sa trigonometry, especially identities. So, if 1 minus cosine squared x equals to sine squared x, palitan ngayon natin ulit yung numerator. So, itong numerator na to, okay, papalitan na natin siya ng sine squared x. So, magiging identity na niya, no? Sine squared x over x squared 1 plus cosine x. Ito na yung ibang itsura niya. Again, sasabihin nyo pa rin, sir, meron pa rin namang x squared sa denominator eh. Magiging 0 pa rin siya. Okay, so tama yon. So, ang gagawin ngayon natin, paghihiwalayin natin yung sa denominator. Okay, paano? Yung 1 plus cosine x, ihihiwalay ko na. So, meron ako sa ilalim na 1 plus cosine x. So, pag hiniwalay ko na, ano yung magiging numerator niya? Hindi ko isasama si sin squared x, 1 pa lang siya, 1 pa rin siya. Times, okay, yung matitira naman sa kabila is sin squared x over x squared. Okay, next. According sa limits theorem, di ba, pag multiplication, pwedeng paghiwalayan. Limits of 1 over 1 plus cosine x, where x approaches to 0, times limits of sin squared x over x squared, where x approaches to 0. Okay, do you follow? Nakakasunod pa rin? Good. So, this first term or first function, cosine x, again, according sa definition, cosine x is equals to 1. Therefore, this will become, kung i-apply ko yung limits, 1 over 1 plus 1. So, yun yung magiging value niya. Wala na si limits. How about this one? Okay, itong part na to, dyan na natin i-apply yung special limits. No, kasi itong sin squared x over x squared can be written as, parehas kasi may x squared o may squared. Pwede kong sabihin sin x over x at nasa labas si squared. Dinidistribute lang naman yung squared sa taas at sa baba. So, if that is the case, ano yung limits of sine angle theta over theta where theta approaches to 0? So, ibig sabihin, equal siya kay 1. Diba? Yung pinag-uusapan natin, theorem number 9, which is special limit. So, it means that the limits, ulitin ko lang, of sine x over x squared where x approaches to 0 is 1. So, we have 1 plus 1 is 2 times limits of this function is 1 according to theorem number 1 squared. So still, 1 squared is 1 times 1 half. The answer is 1 half. Okay, so that's our examples para sa theorem number 9. So, may mga examples din ako pasasagutan sa inyo after na ma-discuss ko lahat ng theorem ng limits. So, meron pa tayo ulit another part. No, pang ilang part na ba to? Part 4. Next is part 5. Yung iba namang special limits din, pero not as special as theorem number 9. Yun yung mga infinite na. No, yung paano kung yung limits mo ay walang katapusan? Or paano kung yung limits mo ay 0 pero hindi theorem number 9? So, meron pa yata tayong dalawang topics. Tapos, examples. After nun, magbibigay na ako ng first assignment ninyo. Okay, so may tanong ba? Kung may tanong, just message me, PM or DM me sa Messenger. Or you can write it below sa comment nitong YouTube channel ko. So, again, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button. So, sana naintindihan nyo. And marami pa tayong i-discuss. So, I'm going to upload more videos. Kaya, dapat updated kayo. Okay, thank you very much. Maulan ngayong araw na to. Okay, kung ngayon, siguro walang pasok talaga. Okay, but new normal tayo. Okay, thank you very much and God bless.